First Contact and Deception. The holographic projection of High Commander Zirax filled the United Earth Council chamber, bathing the faces of humanity's leaders in an unsettling violet glow. The alien's features were both mesmerizing and disturbing. Translucent skin that pulsed with bioluminescent patterns, 6 eyes arranged in a perfect hexagon, and a crown-like structure that seemed to grow directly from its elongated skull. Director Elena Chen, head of Earth's Defense Initiative, stood perfectly still as she faced the projection. At 52, she had the bearing of someone who had spent her life preparing for this moment, though until 10 years ago, no one had known aliens existed. The small scar across her right temple, a souvenir from the recovery operation of the crashed alien scout ship in the Atacama Desert, was the only visible mark of her decades of service. People of Earth, Zirax began, its voice carrying an unnatural harmony that made several council members shift uncomfortably in their seats. The Valkyrie Dominion has observed your primitive civilization for 3 of your centuries. Your technological development has now reached a level that requires our intervention. The alien paused, its 6 eyes blinking in sequence. You have 30 Earth rotations to surrender your world and integrate into our dominion. Resistance is futile. Your weapons cannot harm our vessels. We have conquered over 800 worlds. Your compliance is expected. Director Chen stepped forward, her gaze unwavering. High Commander Zirax of the Valkyrie Dominion, I am Director Elena Chen of Earth's Defense Initiative. We have received your message and terms. She paused, standing taller. We respectfully decline. Humanity does not surrender. The alien's eyes narrowed, and then it laughed, a disturbing sound like glass shattering in slow motion. How quaint. Another species with more pride than intelligence. Look around you. Your most advanced vessels barely leave your atmosphere. Your weapons are primitive. Your understanding of the universe is childlike. The alien leaned closer in the projection, its face filling the chamber. This is not a negotiation. When our armada arrives, you will submit or be eliminated. 30 days, Director. Prepare your surrender documents. The hologram vanished, leaving the chamber in stunned silence. Secretary General Okafor was the first to speak. Clear the room. Security level Omega. His deep voice was calm but firm. Guards moved quickly, escorting most representatives out. Only 7 people remained. The Sentinel Council that had been preparing for this moment since the first alien scout ship had been recovered. Director Chen, the Secretary General said once the room was secure, is Project Aegis ready? A slight smile crossed Director Chen's weathered face. Yes, sir. 300 vessels hidden throughout the solar system. The Valkyrie have no idea what they're about to face. Admiral Takahashi, head of the Global Intelligence Division, activated a holographic display showing the solar system. Red markers appeared, indicating detected alien vessels. Their scout ships have been monitoring our public communications and observing our civilian space stations and conventional defense systems, he explained. He touched a control, and blue markers appeared throughout the display, hidden in asteroid fields, beneath the ice of Enceladus, in the clouds of Saturn, and in other strategic locations. But they have no knowledge of Project Aegis. How confident are we that our technology will be effective? Asked Dr. Imani Rivera, the skeptical head of scientific development. Director Chen approached the display and expanded the image of one blue marker. The hologram showed a massive vessel unlike anything publicly known to exist, a supercarrier nearly 2 kilometers long with sleek lines and unconventional propulsion systems. The phase shift drive works perfectly in all tests, she said. It allows our ships to effectively shift between dimensional states, appearing and disappearing faster than their targeting systems can track. The adaptive shield technology can withstand their energy weapons for extended periods. She looked around the room. We've spent 10 years reverse engineering the technology from their scout ship. While they think we're still playing with chemical rockets and basic ion drives, we've been building a fleet that can match theirs. 300 ships is impressive. Defense Minister Jackson frowned. But the Valkyrie Dominion has thousands. True, replied Director Chen, but they don't expect any resistance at all. Their fleet is spread across their empire. According to our intelligence, they're sending only 70 vessels to accept our surrender, a standard subjugation force. They expect to find a primitive planet with minimal space capability. Secretary General Okafor studied the display thoughtfully. Their arrogance is our advantage. He turned to face the council. I need your unanimous approval to activate Project Aegis and authorize defensive action. One by one, the 7 members gave their consent. As the last voice confirmed, the Secretary General nodded to Director Chen. Proceed with operational preparations. When their fleet arrives expecting our surrender, we'll show them that humanity is not so easily conquered. Director Chen moved to a secure communication terminal. Her fingers flew across the interface, sending coded messages to hidden bases across Earth and throughout the solar system. As the Council continued discussing strategy, she thought about the crews of those 300 ships, men and women who had trained in secret for years, ready to defend their planet against an enemy that didn't even consider them a threat. The High Commander's words echoed in her mind. Your weapons cannot harm our vessels. Director Chen smiled grimly. The arrogant alien would soon discover just how wrong it was. Humanity had been preparing for this moment since the first hints of alien life had been confirmed. 300 supercarriers equipped with technology the Valkyrie didn't know humans possessed waited in the shadows. The High Commander had given Earth 30 days to prepare its surrender. Instead, humanity would prepare for war. Commander Maya Rice walked through the massive underground facility, her footsteps echoing on the metal floor. The base, carved deep beneath Mars's Valles Marineris, stretched for kilometers in every direction. Hundreds of officers and technicians worked at their stations, their faces illuminated by the glow of screens and holographic displays. This hidden Ares command had been humanity's best-kept secret for over a decade. Maya stopped at the central command platform and gazed at the enormous main screen covering the far wall. It displayed a complete map of the solar system with blue markers indicating the positions of Earth's hidden fleet. 10 years of work, she said quietly to herself. All for this moment. Lieutenant Raj Khan approached with a tablet in hand. Though only 32, he had quickly proven himself as one of the most capable officers in the fleet. His uniform was immaculate, but the dark circles under his eyes revealed the stress of recent days. Status report on the carrier groups. Commander, Maya ordered, turning to face him. Lieutenant Khan nodded briskly. All 300 vessels report ready, Commander. Phase shift drives calibrated, adaptive shield systems at full capacity, weapon systems charged and operational. Commander Rice nodded. And the crews? They've been in final position for 72 hours, sir. Morale remains high. He hesitated. Though there is some nervousness, most of these systems have never been tested in actual combat. Maya understood their concern. The technology equipping Earth's supercarriers had been developed by reverse engineering the crashed Valkyrie scout ship. The phase shift drive allowed ships to essentially shift between dimensional states, appearing and disappearing faster than enemy targeting systems could lock on. The adaptive shields could analyze incoming energy weapons and reconfigure to resist them. Both technologies were revolutionary, but untested against the full might of the Valkyrie Dominion. They'll work, Maya said with more confidence than she felt. They have to. She walked to a smaller display showing footage from Earth's public-facing defense systems, outdated space stations, and conventional weapons platforms that the Valkyrie could easily observe. These decoys were part of the deception, making Earth appear far less advanced than it actually was. The High Commander thinks we're defenseless, Commander Rice said, gesturing toward the primitive defenses. They have no idea we've been preparing since their scout first appeared 10 years ago. Around her, the command center hummed with activity. Communications officers maintained constant contact with the hidden fleet. Intelligence analysts monitored Valkyrie communications. Engineers fine-tuned the quantum networks that allowed instant communication across the solar system. A young ensign approached. "Commander, Director Chen's shuttle has docked. She's on her way down." Minutes later, the command center doors slid open. Director Chen entered, still wearing the same uniform she'd worn during the confrontation with High Commander Zirax. The room fell silent as she walked toward the command platform. Despite her small stature, her presence dominated the room. "Report," she said simply. Commander Reyes straightened. "All carrier groups are in position and ready, Director. The Aegis network is operational. We can coordinate simultaneous attacks across the entire system." Director Chen nodded and turned to the main display. A cluster of red markers had appeared near the orbit of Neptune, the approaching Valkyrie fleet. "Their advanced scouts have entered the system," said the Chief Intelligence Officer. "Main fleet formation approximately 6 hours behind them. Consistent with a standard subjugation force, 70 vessels total." Director Chen studied the display, her expression revealing nothing of her thoughts. "Only 70 ships," Commander Reyes said. "Their arrogance is astounding. They believe we're a pre-space civilization with limited orbital capability." Commander Reyes replied, "According to our intelligence, this is their standard approach for low-resistance planets." A slight smile crossed the director's face. "They're about to learn a painful lesson about underestimating humanity." She turned to address the command center. The room fell completely silent. 10 years ago, a scout ship crashed in the Atacama Desert. From that wreckage, we learned we were not alone in the universe and that advanced civilizations existed that might one day threaten our world. Her voice carried throughout the chamber. Rather than panic, humanity came together. Nations that were once enemies became partners. We kept our discovery secret. We built this fleet. We prepared. She pointed to the approaching red markers on the display. The Valkyrie Dominion has conquered 800 worlds, but they have never faced Earth. They expect us to surrender without a fight. Instead, they will face the most advanced fleet humanity has ever built. The command center remained silent, everyone focused on their commander. "We will not strike first," Director Chen continued. "We will allow their fleet to enter the inner system. We will let them believe their victory is assured. And then," she paused, her eyes hard, "we will show them that humanity is not so easily conquered." A communications officer called out, "Director, we're receiving transmissions from the Valkyrie advanced ships. They're broadcasting surrender terms to Earth. They're demanding an answer." "Send our official response," ordered Director Chen. "Tell them Earth's leaders are discussing their terms and will respond within the time frame they provided." Commander Reyes raised an eyebrow. "Buying time." "Exactly," Director Chen nodded. "Each hour gives our crews more time to prepare, and it reinforces their belief that we pose no threat." She walked to the tactical station and studied the deployment map. "Have carrier groups 3 and 7 adjust their positions. I want them closer to Mars. When the Valkyrie fleet passes the orbit of Mars, that's when we strike." Commander Reyes watched as the orders were relayed, and 2 clusters of blue markers on the display began to move slightly. The precision of the plan impressed her. For 10 years, humanity had prepared for this moment, developing not just the technology, but the tactics needed to face a technologically superior enemy. "The Valkyrie fleet is approaching Neptune," Director Chen announced, her voice carrying across the command center. "Time to show them humanity isn't as primitive as they believe." As if to punctuate her words, the red markers on the display accelerated, moving deeper into the solar system. The Valkyrie fleet was coming, confident in their superiority, unaware of the trap they were sailing into. In the darkness of space, 300 supercarriers waited silently, their crews ready, their weapons charged, humanity's secret guardians preparing to reveal themselves at the perfect moment. The battle for Earth was about to begin. The battle and aftermath. Captain Amara Singh stood on the bridge of the supercarrier Defiance, her hands clasped behind her back as she studied the main view screen. The massive vessel, hidden within the asteroid belt for weeks, maintained complete silence. Passive sensors only, emissions dampened to near zero. Around her, the bridge crew worked with quiet efficiency, their training evident in every precise movement. The view screen showed the approaching Valkyrie Armada as it passed the orbit of Mars. 70 alien vessels in a loose formation, their obsidian hulls absorbing rather than reflecting the sunlight. Their design was both beautiful and intimidating. Organic curves blended with crystalline structures unlike anything humans had built before. Project Aegis, magnify Sector 3, Captain Singh ordered. The image zoomed in on the lead vessel, nearly 5 kilometers long, dwarfing even the largest human supercarrier. Pulsing violet lights ran along its hull, and strange energy signatures emanated from what appeared to be weapon ports. "That's the High Commander's flagship," said Commander Patel, her first officer. He stood beside her, his face illuminated by the blue glow of the tactical display. "The Eternal Subjugator." Captain Singh nodded. "They're not even in combat formation," she observed, noting the Valkyrie ship's relaxed positioning. "Pure arrogance," Commander Patel replied. "They believe they're approaching a primitive planet with minimal orbital defenses. They expect a simple surrender ceremony." Captain Singh studied the alien formation with experienced eyes. In her 20 years of service, she had never faced an actual alien threat. But the simulations and training had been extensive. The Valkyrie's current formation left them vulnerable to a coordinated attack from multiple vectors, a weakness she intended to exploit. "Status of the fleet?" she asked. Lieutenant Choi, the communications officer, looked up from her station. "All carrier groups report ready and in position, Captain. Phase shift drives are charged and calibrated, weapon systems hot, adaptive shields at maximum capacity, and the Aegis network operating at 100% efficiency. All 300 vessels are synchronized and ready for coordinated strike." Captain Singh turned to Commander Patel. "Time until the Valkyrie reach optimal engagement range." 3 minutes, Captain." She nodded and touched her command interface. "This is Captain Singh to all Aegis fleet commanders. Final confirmation of Attack Plan Alpha. Wait for my signal." Acknowledgements came in from the other 299 supercarrier captains hidden throughout the solar system. Humanity's secret armada, built over 10 years, was about to reveal itself. On the view screen, the Valkyrie ships continued their leisurely approach to Earth. Energy readings showed they had weapon systems powered down, shields at minimal levels. They expected no resistance. "All carriers report ready for synchronized jump," Commander Patel confirmed after checking the fleet status one final time. Captain Singh allowed herself a small smile. "Signal all vessels. Execute Aegis protocol." Across the solar system, 300 supercarriers activated their phase shift drives simultaneously. The revolutionary technology reverse-engineered from the crashed alien scout ship allowed the massive vessels to shift partially out of normal spacetime, disappearing from their hiding places and reappearing in planned positions surrounding the Valkyrie fleet. The Defiance shuddered slightly as reality warped around it. For a brief moment, Captain Singh felt the strange sensation of existing everywhere and nowhere at once. Then, with a flash of blue energy, the supercarrier materialized less than 10 kilometers from the High Commander's flagship. On the view screen, she could now see the Valkyrie vessels from multiple angles as the human fleet surrounded them in a three-dimensional enclosure pattern. For a brief moment, nothing happened as the aliens registered the sudden appearance of 300 warships that hadn't been there seconds before. "All ships report successful phase shift," Lieutenant Choi announced. "Formation integrity at 98%. Target Valkyrie propulsion systems and weapons arrays." Captain Singh ordered calmly. "Fire when ready." Across the human fleet, targeting computers locked onto the unprepared alien vessels. The element of surprise was complete. The next few seconds would determine the outcome of the battle. "Firing," announced the weapons officer. The Defiance shuddered as its main batteries unleashed streams of concentrated energy at the High Commander's flagship. Simultaneously, the other 299 human vessels opened fire on their designated targets. The coordinated attack, planned for years and executed with precision, struck the Valkyrie fleet before they could raise shields or power weapons. The view screen showed multiple explosions across the alien vessels as the first salvos hit their unprepared hulls. Critical systems failed, propulsion units ruptured, weapon arrays melted under the concentrated fire. Direct hits on 80% of targets, reported the tactical officer. Valkyrie shields coming online, but too late to prevent initial damage. From the bridge of the Defiance, Captain Singh watched as the Valkyrie fleet scrambled to respond. Their ships began to maneuver erratically, trying to form a defensive posture while firing back with whatever weapons they could bring online. "Evasive pattern Delta," she ordered. "Maintain fire concentration on primary targets." The Defiance disappeared again, using its phase shift drive to jump 2 kilometers to port, avoiding a retaliatory strike from the High Commander's flagship. When it reappeared, it unleashed another barrage of weapons fire. Across the battlefield, human ships employed the same tactics: firing, jumping, reappearing, firing again. The Valkyrie, unused to such mobility in combat, struggled to track the constantly shifting human vessels. Inside the Eternal Subjugator, High Commander Zirak stood on his command deck, his 6 eyes wide with shock as reports of devastating damage flooded in. His translucent skin had lost its luminescence, turning ashen with rage and disbelief. "Impossible," he hissed as his flagship shuddered under direct hits. "How can they have this technology? They are primitives." His chief military advisor cowered before him. "High Commander, we've lost 15 vessels already. Their weapons are penetrating our shields, and we cannot track their movements. They appear and disappear at will." Another explosion rocked the flagship as a human supercarrier appeared directly above them, unleashed a devastating barrage, and vanished before they could respond. "Retreat," the High Commander ordered, his voice filled with fury. "Regroup at the outer system." The surviving Valkyrie vessels began desperate maneuvers to break away from the human encirclement. Their once proud formation was now a chaotic scramble for survival. Captain Singh watched the Valkyrie retreat begin. "They're running," Commander Patel observed, unable to keep a note of satisfaction from his voice. "Don't celebrate yet," Captain Singh cautioned. "Pursue according to plan. Don't let them regroup." She opened a channel to the entire Aegis fleet. "This is Captain Singh. Phase 1 complete. Begin pursuit operations. Carrier groups 2 and 4, cut off their retreat path." The rest of the fleet continued the attack as the human supercarriers executed their next coordinated jump. Captain Singh took a moment to absorb what they had accomplished. The supposedly invincible Valkyrie armada was in disarray, running from a species they had dismissed as primitive just days before. The battle for Earth had begun with a devastating human victory, but Captain Singh knew this was only the beginning. The High Commander would return with a larger force once he realized the true extent of human capabilities. Still, as she watched the Valkyrie flagship desperately firing in all directions as it fled, Captain Singh allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. Humanity had spent 10 years preparing for this moment, and the High Commander's arrogance had played directly into their hands. The Aegis fleet pursued the retreating aliens, phase shift drives flashing as 300 supercarriers continued their relentless attack. The message to the Valkyrie Dominion was clear. Humanity would not surrender. Not today. Not ever. 3 months after the Battle of Earth, Director Elena Chen stood on the observation deck of the United Earth diplomatic vessel Horizon as it approached the neutral meeting point in deep space. Through the massive viewports, she could see the representatives of 17 formerly subjugated species waiting on their own vessels. The Valkyrie Dominion was collapsing. After their catastrophic defeat at Earth, rebellions had erupted across their empire. Species that had lived under their rule for centuries saw that the Valkyrie could be defeated and rose up against their oppressors. "Diplomatic channel open, Director," announced Communications Officer Torres. "The Alliance representatives are standing by." Director Chen smoothed her formal diplomatic uniform and nodded. On screen, the main display activated, showing the faces of 17 different alien species. Some resembled insects, others reptiles, a few were almost humanoid, and others defied easy classification. All shared one thing in common: they had been liberated from Valkyrie rule with humanity's help. Representatives of the Free Worlds Alliance. Director Chen began. "On behalf of Earth and humanity, I thank you for meeting with us today." Nectari, a crystalline being who led the rebellion on the mining world of Centus IV, spoke first. "It is we who must thank you, Director Chen. For 300 years, my people labored in the Valkyrie mines. Now we are free." "The Valkyrie believed they were invincible," added Ambassador Kforel, a reptilian diplomat whose scales shifted color with his emotions. "Their empire was built on fear and the belief that no species could challenge their technological superiority. When humanity proved them wrong," continued Helix, a spiral-shaped being composed of living metal, "the foundation of their power crumbled. They had no strategy for fighting an equal opponent." Director Chen nodded. "The Valkyrie underestimated us because they judged by appearances. They saw our public space program and assumed it represented the limit of our capabilities. A mistake they will not make again," rumbled Gravnar, a massive entity that resembled a sentient avalanche. "Our intelligence suggests they are gathering their forces for a counterattack." "Let them come," Director Chen replied calmly. "In the 3 months since our first encounter, our shipyards have been working at maximum capacity. The technology we've gained from captured Valkyrie vessels has accelerated our development even further." She paused. "But more importantly, we now have allies." On a secondary screen, tactical displays showed the combined fleets of Earth and the Free Worlds Alliance. Over 1,000 vessels of various designs and capabilities, all united against the Valkyrie threat. "Together," Director Chen continued, "we can end the Valkyrie's reign of tyranny permanently. Not through their destruction, but by offering them the chance to join a new galactic community as equals, not conquerors." "You would offer peace to those who sought to enslave you?" asked Thorel, his scales shifting to a surprised blue. "We would offer peace to everyone willing to accept it," Director Chen confirmed. "War is sometimes necessary, but lasting peace is always the goal." As the diplomatic discussion continued, Director Chen reflected on how much had changed in just 3 months. Earth had gone from an isolated planet, believing itself alone in the universe, to the catalyst for a galactic revolution. Humanity had not only defended itself, but had helped liberate countless worlds from oppression. High Commander Zirax had believed humans to be primitive, easily conquered primitives. That arrogance had cost him his empire. Now humanity stood at the dawn of a new era, not as conquerors like the Valkyrie, but as liberators and allies. The stars, once distant and unreachable, now represented unlimited potential for exploration, discovery, and cooperation. As Director Chen finalized the alliance treaty with the 17 liberated worlds, she couldn't help but smile at the irony. The Valkyrie had come to Earth expecting surrender. Instead, they had triggered humanity's emergence onto the galactic stage, the beginning of a new chapter in the story of both Earth and the galaxy itself. The High Commander's dismissive words echoed in her memory. "Your weapons cannot harm our vessels." How wrong he had been. The weapons that had truly defeated the Valkyrie weren't just humanity's advanced technology, but their resilience, ingenuity, and determination. Qualities the Valkyrie, in all their arrogance, had failed to recognize until it was too late. Humanity had been challenged, and humanity had risen. The galaxy would never be the same again.